Hi there, my name is McNaughton, and this is episode 5 of the last great Stanley Cup Finals. I chat with Jevon Lefebvre from Left Side Heavy, the podcast, to discuss Game 5 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, where the Vancouver Canucks defeated the Boston Bruins 1-0 thanks to a game-winning goal from Maxim Lapierre. Yeah, that's right. Lapierre got the game-winning goal in Game 5. It's a really great episode. We talk about different broadcasters we like and dislike. We talk about Lapierre scoring a game-winning goal and the Stanley Cup Finals, and we just have a great conversation about the series as a whole. It's an awesome episode. I'm very thankful that Jevon was able to take the time to do this. Be sure to tune in to episode 6 on Sunday night and episode Sunday on Tuesday night, which is episode 6 will come out on June 13th, and then episode 7th will come out on June 15th. Thank you very much for all your support. We hope you've been enjoying the episodes, and make sure to enjoy this one as we talk with Jevon about Game 5. If you're on YouTube, if you watch us on YouTube, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching elsewhere, I don't know how. But if you are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a subscribe and a following there. Thank you again for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. Now, sit back and enjoy the episode. All right, welcome back to the last great Stanley Cup Finals, episode 5 with my boy Jevon Lefebvre over at Left Side Heavy Pod. First of all, Jevon, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. As we can tell by your jersey and hat combo, we know who you're rooting for in this series.
Yes, sir.
But first of all, when I mentioned the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
And tears and depression and just like remembering the reason why I hate the Bruins so much. But what comes to mind is the Sedins, because that was Daniel's Ted Lindsay year. And then it was just like Canucks took the year by storm, especially I was looking at the awards of 2011, and Daniel was second for the Hart, Luongo was third for the Vezina, Kessler won the Selke, Gillis won GM of the Year, Malhotra was like fifth in Selke, and then Daniel won the Ted Lindsay. So it was just like Canucks were almost in every single award that was given out except the Norris. So it was like probably the best year the Canucks have ever had, but unfortunately it just ended poorly.
So we've gone through 4 games now. At this point, the series is tied at 2-2. Do you have a favorite moment from the finals, or even just the playoff run, whether it's the Burrows goal or the Bieksa goal? Do you have a favorite moment from that run of games?
I love Burrows. Was it his game 2 quick OT winner?
Yes, yeah, game
that
2.
That one was electric, because you were like basically going to the bathroom right before OT started, and you come out and it's over. So it happened like 8 seconds in, but that one was electric. And I remember I know getting ahead, but game 7, I was over at my buddy's house, and we like that run of games. I would always have like Stanley Cup parties at my house and stuff like that, but then like he decided to have one. So then we were just like kind of playing street hockey and during intermissions and stuff. And in game 7, it was just like tough ending. So it was like, yeah, it was just, I think the Burrows quick OT goal was one of my favorites, just because it was like, yo, we're up 2-0. We're halfway there. It's just, it gave us so much hope. But
the best part about the Burrows goal was that watching on the CBC feed, like they didn't even, when they show something at the beginning, like an ad or whatever, like say it's Applebee's or something, and then they put up the graphic, like the score graphic, and they didn't even have time to do that because Burrows just scored 10 seconds into the first OT. They didn't even have time to put the graphic up. It's just like, oh, Canucks won. All right, cool.
Yeah, sometimes the commentators don't even come in and say anything until like the ad is completely done and over with. So no, yeah, it was amazing how a bounce went our way and Tim Thomas bid on that pump fake and Burrows. It was actually like when you look at it, it was very impressive goal that he scored because that's not an easy tuck that he did.
It's a high IQ play. It's a
Yeah,
high IQ play to like fake it and then recognize, oh shit, I don't have the angle here,
yeah,
and then you go around and you just do the wraparound.
yeah. But
So pretty much fun facts in this game for game 5 is Tanner Glass got over 5 minutes of total ice time in this game.
yeah, how do you know? I couldn't find the box score for this
It's
game.
hockey reference. You just go through
I did and I couldn't find shit.
I can see if I can add it here. But pretty much Tanner Glass got over 5 minutes of a play, which is really cool. Basically, air outside of actual goalies. So Luongo played all 60 minutes, of course. Ehrhoff led the team in total ice time with 24:36, and then Bieksa, Salo, Edler rounded out. Ehrhoff, Bieksa, Salo, Edler, and Kessler round out the top 5 of guys who played over 20 minutes in that game for the Canucks. I would say probably the best moment in this game, which is it was kind of like game 1, where it was kind of a boring game. The Canucks won 1-0 with thanks to Maxim Lapierre goal.
Yeah.
But Lapierre's goal is probably the highlight, the best moment of this game because we got a goal, and it was kind of a nice goal too, a little sneaky good goal.
Yeah, if Tim Thomas almost had that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he almost had that.
He almost had that. Other good moments from this game. I mean, there's not a lot. It's kind of like game 1 where there's not a lot happening. There's not a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
Tim Thomas still has a .960 save percentage in this game. Luongo stops all 31 of the Canucks shot or all the Bruins shots. Do you remember anything specifically from game 5 that stands out to you, or as a good moment from a Canucks perspective outside of the Lapierre goal?
I mean, so I was looking at a quick highlight package of this game, and I saw that the Bruins were putting on pressure multiple times. And what impressed me the most was that the Canucks didn't back down because they have tendencies of like kind of parking the bus when pressure is amongst them, and then that's when they usually give up big goals and everything. And I saw that in this game that despite the pressure and chances that the Canucks were giving up, they still had counterattacks and they were still playing aggressive amongst the Bruins defensemen. So that was something I was very impressed about.
I was gonna
all in all.
I was gonna say from this game, the Bruins did a nice job back in Boston of like really pressuring the Canucks and really putting the force on them, and then they come to Vancouver, and then Vancouver finally gets some momentum, finally gets some advantages going their way. They had 5 penalties in the game compared to Boston's 4, so Vancouver got an extra penalty compared to Boston. But I know what you mean when in terms of advantage and momentum and just like trying to put the pressure on for 60 minutes. You know, it's a cliche, but trying to put the pressure on for 60 minutes, and it's not easy to do so in a playoff game. But
yeah, exactly.
So worst moments from this game. I don't have a lot of worst moments from this game. I do think it's kind of funny that Hank gets an interference call. Burrows gets an unsportsmanlike conduct in this game. Burrows and Lucic both got 2 minutes. Burrows got an unsportsmanlike. Lucic got a chipping penalty. I thought that's kind of funny, considering that's a better trade-off for the Bruins, I would think, than the Canucks. But
I mean, Lucic led the team in scoring that year.
Yeah, he was up there in point, like tied for the team lead in points that season.
62 points. So I mean, the trade-off isn't necessarily crazy because, I mean, Lucic had more points and Canucks were the better roster. So I mean, Lucic was a wagon that year.
So I'm curious to know your thoughts. We've had this conversation earlier in the series, but Milan Lucic as a player, how do you feel about Lucic as a player in his career, not just in Boston. Like now
Career?
he's in Calgary, but career-wise, your thoughts on Milan Lucic?
He was Tom Wilson before Tom Wilson,
Mm,
and then now he's just turned into a older Ryan Reeves.
okay.
But he was a guy. He was one of those players where I'd love him on my team, but I hate playing against him. That's like the same with Marshawn and uh Tom Wilson and stuff like that. So he jumps and hops in there. He's not a dirty player. He's just a very he lost his legs a bit just as like he's gotten older and stuff like that. I saw this trade going around not too long ago about Louis for Lucic, like one bad contract for another. And I would have still taken that because despite the extra year, 6 mil, at least he brings something other than sitting in the press box that Louis does.
I,
Lucic can hit and like at least fight some people and stand up for people, whereas Louis doesn't do shit.
I was
But
gonna say I think Lucic does more than score empty net goals. That's the thing.
yeah,
I think
exactly, and
that
score on our own net.
yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't mind that trade. I'd probably do that trade if I was
Yeah,
the Canucks. But I
it's just that
mean,
extra year that he had on his contract that's kind of dicey.
well, the weird part was that so he went to LA, right? And LA was kind of in the downswing as he was there.
Yeah,
Like they weren't the same team. It was never going to work in Edmonton, trying to be like the McSorley to McDavid's Gretzky. Like it wasn't going to happen there. And
yeah,
Calgary's just a weird team where they're not really rebuilding, but they're not really good enough to be a championship contender. So you're kind of just stuck on the fence as to what to actually do in Calgary. I've said this before. I like Lucic the player. I like what he brought to Boston. It's
yeah.
just the game has just gone away from what he does and his skill
No, that's
set.
fair. That's
So
fair.
it's a difficult one to discuss. Um, who's the guy on Boston that you hate the most? Like of all these players on the Bruins, anybody on the 2011 roster, who do you hate the most?
Let me open this hockey reference again. Let me just look
Because
up the team
because I mean
really quick.
I'm a neutral party in this. I root for the Red Wings. I don't have. I mean, I like Marchand. I think he's gotten better. Like he had
I
a good.
mean, I think the guy I hated the most was Tim Thomas.
Ooh, that's a good pick actually.
He he was a rat. That guy sucked. And it's really unfortunate to see like where he is right now because I understand that he's going through tough times and he went through a spell where he wasn't communicating people for like years and stuff and he was battling with a lot of mental like a some sort of mental illness
Yeah,
for lack of a better term. But I mean during this cup run Tim Thomas was an absolute asshole. He would slash guys in the back of the legs for no reason, then he'd jump out of his crease 10 feet and then look for penalties and guy would just be skating across, chasing the guy behind the net, and he just blocker them in the chin. So it's like that guy was a absolute rat. And then another guy I hated playing against, not so much like the player. I just like Lucic, man. He kind of bullied a lot of the Canucks players, and it was like hard for us to kind of counter. So, but yeah, Tim Thomas is sitting at the top of my list.
I thought I don't know. I thought it was funny. Again, I'm a third party. I don't really care who wins this. Like I'm not not a Canucks fan, not a Bruins fan. It doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah,
I did think it was kind of funny. The top. So there's two plays I talked about where Thomas shoves Sedin, if you remember. Like Sedin's going right in front of him in Boston in Game 3, and
yeah.
Thomas just goes out of his way just to cross check him as he's skating by, not even playing the puck or anything. Like a clear interference call,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
but because it's the playoffs, we don't call anything, right? So it's fair
yeah.
game. And then
Especially back then.
especially back then, like 10 years ago, where we're really
Yeah,
not calling anything, letting the guys play. But then the other play I thought was funny was Game 4. when Burrows first chops his stick, but it's not as serious as when Thomas retaliates by just absolutely fucking hacking him right in the ankles.
That's what
And
I'm saying.
I don't know. I just find it funny. I just find the chaos to be entertaining. It's just
It's hard to
great.
chirp the guy because he won the Vesna that year, so it's like, fuck. I don't know.
He
There's not much. Like that's why we needed a player like Lucic, but I mean, Maxim Lapierre was our guy that year.
Lapierre and Torres.
Torres was just suspended all the time.
So I'll bring that up with you. I asked Scott this earlier, but
Yeah.
if Lapierre and Torres are on the same line in 2021, like over under 4 games until one of them gets supplemental discipline, are you taking the over or the under on that?
So supplemental discipline, is that a fine?
Like a fine or a
Well?
suspension?
Oh,
or just,
under.
yeah.
Under. Under.
Like you're like watching this like 10 years ago, it's just like holy shit, these guys did a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And nowadays
Oh,
it's
man.
like they're even player safety gets their critics today. But
Yo, that
still.
Seabrook hit. Torres would be banned for life if he did that now in this day.
Yeah, worst moments from this game. I don't have a lot of worse moments. I mean, there's a kind of a weak Adam McQuaid holding penalty, which I mean, like, I don't know, holding can be a bit justified. I don't know, it's a bit subjective.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of ref's discretion at that point.
And then Andrew Albert, who is playing as a depth guy because Hamus is injured in this series.
And Rome is sussied.
Rome, very, very sus.
Yeah.
Albert gets a kind of another weak roughing penalty, which the whole series has been rough since about game 2 after the Burrows incident, like the Burrows biting incident. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't have any really worse moments. Again, I think, how do I put this? So, I think we do have a lot of low-scoring games in the NHL, especially in the regular season, like a lot of 3-2, 2-1 games that are kind of defensive battles. There's not a whole lot happening. But I think Game 1 and Game 5 are really good examples of 1-0 games that can be exciting, where teams go back and forth and they're kind of at each other's necks, especially in the finals when there's so much on the line like this.
Especially players like Yannick Hansen. I know he's not necessarily like a huge name guy, and we traded him not too long after this run that they had. But I just saw like a highlight, and it was like Henrik Sedin just went over the blue line, took a slap shot that didn't even have a chance of going in. And then Yannick Hansen like bursted from like 18 feet back and bursted through the Bruins D-man and almost had a scoring chance. And I was like, it's like jitterbugs like that make playoffs exciting. Who are basically playing for minutes, right? So that's kind of something I caught.
I was gonna say like the guys that I like are like the depth guys on Vancouver, like the Hansons, the Chris Higgins, Mason Raymonds as like middle 6 guys who can contribute up and down the lineup. You don't want them on your top line, but if they're on your second or third line, then you got something good going on there.
Yeah, I was just about to say Higgins is like a guy that can go up and down, play up and down the line.
Yeah.
Fill in for any injury that's there. But he gelled really well with Kessler. So it was like almost like a Besser Petey kind of thing. They just worked really well.
Absolutely. Also, again, another guy I want to shout out is Manny Malhotra, who made his return in this series. He got 11 minutes.
After the eye injury.
Yeah, it was.
That was that playoff run, right?
That was that playoff run. He came back in game 1, I believe it was, and was a significant contribution. I mean, face-off guy, right? He's taking a face-off from Vancouver. He's not doing a whole lot outside of that, but it's also as much as it is someone who you're trying to get to make a positive contribution. He is like a symbol in the locker room of somebody you want to play for.
Oh, 100%.
So
he was automatic in the face-off draw too. His percentage was so high. Is unreal. Like he would basically on the power play take the face off and then go change for someone else.
Yeah,
Like
pretty
just
much.
win the draw, get us possession, and then get the hell off the ice.
Get Hank or somebody else
Yeah,
out there to actually play the power play.
yeah. He's like it's like lacrosse. People in lacrosse just take the opening draw and then run off the floor and then put another offensive guy out there.
I
But
going back to my lax experience. I love when like the guys who are just primarily there to take draws, right? That's all they
yeah,
do.
just face off guys.
Face off guys, and then they always like joke or like they've told me pregame. It's like, oh yeah, I'm netting a Hattie tonight. It's like you just take draws, man. Like what are you talking about? Like you just take draws. It's like no, Hattie tonight against New West. You watch. It's just like I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know about that, Chief.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't have. I'm curious. My next segment is called Pierre Maguire NBC mic checks because I have the American feed for the game. I don't really have any Pierre Maguire. I mean, there wasn't anything too outrageous I thought said in this game or too ironic. What are your thoughts on broadcasters? Like, do you have a favorite broadcaster or like a person that you really like listening to call a game?
Any specific sport or just in general?
Primarily hockey, but if you got anybody in
Okay.
any sport, because I mean, I personally, I'm somebody who prefers NBC in the American feed than the Canadian feed because I just feel like
Okay.
the American feed is dumbed down a little bit for
Yeah.
hockey compared to the Canadian feed. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if you have a different opinion.
Okay, so all time is Mike Tirico for all
Yes.
sports. He
Yes.
does everything well. Formerly retired, Bob Cole. He was my favorite. And then current is actually kind of funny. Is like I said that he was my favorite. I have this habit lately that any person I pick gets immediately mushed. The only one that wasn't mushed was Austin Matthews. I picked him to win the Rocket this year, and he
Yeah.
ultimately did. But other than that, we can go into it later. But I picked Jim Houston. I really like him as a broadcaster. I think he calls games very well. And then a month later, I look on Twitter and Jim Houston's trending on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, let's see what did this guy do? Is there any allegations towards him? And then it's just a bunch of people saying how much they hate Jim Houston. And I was like, is he that bad? Like I just picked him as my favorite.
I liked him calling Leafs games. I think he was good for calling Leafs games, but now with Sportsnet they got Chris Cuthbert. I think during the bubble, wasn't it, or
He's still doing games right now.
He's still doing games right now, but in the bubble, I think Cuthbert moved to Sportsnet from TSN.
Yeah, he did.
And Houston, I think because he was worried about COVID, because he's like in his 60s or something, he was worried about catching it, so he only did Canucks games because he's from Vancouver. I like Houston. I think he's a good broadcaster. Bob Cole is just a great listen, no matter what game.
Montreal playoff games against like Boston or Washington or anything, and him calling like PK Subban, like that PK Subban breakaway goal out of the box.
Yeah.
And just hearing Bob Cole's call on that it gives me chills every single time. That might be one of the greatest Montreal Canadian goals of all time, is that breakaway PK Subban goal, just based off the energy of the Bell Center, the stakes, the situation that the Habs just killed a penalty and they sprung PK on a breakaway, and the Selly was all time. So, and Bob Cole's call, obviously, but just that whole whatever happened in that like 10-second span was just getting chills thinking about that. But yeah, Bob Cole, I think he was my favorite, and then currently Jim Houston right now. The great save Luongo is just like, gosh,
that's iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. But
I was gonna say, do you have any thoughts on like John Shorthouse and John Garrett, who are mostly doing Canucks games now? Do you like listening to them, or are you a fan of theirs?
They're okay. Yeah. John Garrett's one of the biggest homers of all time, and it's kind of annoying.
even as a Canucks fan?
Oh, I can't stand it. Like, even because I consider myself a realist. I'm not someone like I'm a Habs fan after the Canucks. If Canucks are in the playoffs, if it's Montreal versus Vancouver, I'm cheering for Vancouver, but I want the Habs to win when they're not playing Vancouver, kind of thing. And I know that the Habs should not be in the position that they're in right now, right? Like, I
Yes.
know that. And there's Habs fans out there that are saying that, like they're the cup run, here we come. I'm like, hey, no, like you're gonna play Colorado and Vegas, and next round you're gonna get pumped. But yeah, so I'm a realist. So whenever I see like, I don't know, like Markstrom or Demko get like skimmed on the helmet or the mask, and John Garrett's like frailing his arms for goalie interference, I'm like, John, would you settle down? Okay, you're gonna have an aneurysm freaking out about this. Like, that wasn't interference. Like, this guy's just a homer, and it's kind of annoying. But I like John Shorehouse. He has a good voice for radio and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But John Garrett kind of kills the mood, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Not much you can really do about it.
I was gonna say, do you have an opinion on Jack Edwards, who does local Bruins games for Nest?
God. He's terrible. He's worse than John Garrett.
I think he's probably the worst. Like, if you're from Boston, you're gonna disagree with me.
He's terrible.
Worst play-by-play local guy in the league.
Oh, he's awful. He's awful. But Doc Emmerich, he was good too.
Doc Emmerich, I like. That's why I got the NBC feeds in our Google Doc of like full games. Is Doc Emmerich is
he's top 3 all time.
Yeah, he's so good.
He might even be top 2, but I just really like Bob Cole. He's my favorite.
In terms of American broadcasters, I think it's Doc Emmerich and Gary Thorne are like the 2 guys who are up there.
He hit the post with the shot. It's a classic NHL call.
He got waffle boarded. That's probably my favorite one. Is he got waffle boarded?
Yeah.
When they announced, like, they made that a thing in Shell, and it's just like, what the fuck's waffle boarded? What?
Yeah.
So pretty much again.
Yeah, I got a question. Yes. So, take chemistry out, because broadcasters, there's the same 2 on every. If you could cross connect analyst, color commentator, and a play-by-play guy, who are your 3 guys? It doesn't have to be the same like duo that call games. Like, you can just take one, like John Shorthouse and Craig Simpson, like that kind of thing. Ooh. And if, like, for an example, but
I'm gonna say who's a play-by-play? I like Kenny Albert at NBC.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Kenny Albert calls the game. I'm gonna say Mickey Redmond, because I'm a Red Wings homer. I love listening to Mickey Redmond. He's a great listen. He's a little bit of a homer, but he's also a bit of, like, he's become more of a realist now that the team's been shit. Where it's just like, come on, Fabry, what are you doing? Like that sort of stuff, which I can appreciate. And then a third person. Who's my third person who I want calling the game? It's a really good question. God, I got so many different options here as to where.
I'm looking at the list right now, and there's so many good players on, good guys on here.
I'm gonna say I might be a homer for the Americans, but I've been listening to Joe Micheletti lately, and he does the games with Albert, and it's such a good listen. He may not be the smartest guy, might not be the smartest tool in the shed, but his voice sounds really good. Because the difference between, and I'm not trying to say that Canadian broadcasters are shit. Like, I like listening to a game on Sportsnet. I mean, you could do the thing. You could throw Gord Miller in there. Ray Ferraro do really good. Like, Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro do really good juniors broadcasts.
Gord Miller is really good.
I mean, the difference with, like, the Americans is that I feel like the American broadcast, they're there to entertain. They don't really care about the hockey. They're just there to entertain you. I mean, they
Yeah.
do like some of the hockey, but if the goal is just to entertain people, because that's the American way. Whereas Canadians are just so into hockey and it's all about the hockey. I mean, TSN, I'm really just, I don't know about you, but I'm disappointed that the hockey package moved from TSN to Sportsnet. Like, I still think Sportsnet had some good people and good people who are calling games. But I just like what TSN was doing before they moved the package to
Yeah,
Rogers.
yeah, it's they're kind of lacking right now in terms of NHL games, but I mean, it's
Who's your,
just
who I was going to say, who's your three?
um so if I had to pick, you see, I don't want to be boring, so I guess I can kind of
No, be boring. I
branch
don't
out.
mind. I don't mind. I'm
But
pretty boring.
cuz I already like the duo of Jim Houston and Craig Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're good together. So, but I'll kind of branch out. I'll replace Jim Houston with Chris Cuthbert just to be different.
Sure.
Because if I obviously had to pick a non-retired guy, I'm picking Bob Cole. But I like Craig Simpson touching in on opinions and stuff like that. And then give me Ray Ferraro between the benches
Yeah,
all day,
he's
all
so good.
day. I love he's always 100%. He's just like he tells it how it is, and keeps it 100 every time he's talks. And he's funny. So it's
Never misses a beat. He's got a good
never.
personality.
Oh, 100%.
Like it's a guy, especially World Juniors. Like that's what I think has made the World
Yeah,
Juniors too so good. Is him and Gord just have really good like dynamic connections, and they can just feed
yeah,
off one another, and it's just great to listen to.
yeah,
So,
100%.
uh,
Totally agree.
going back to Game 5, do you have any final thoughts or takeaway? I mean, maybe we'll get you back on for Game 7 so you can talk about the riots. But do you have any thoughts on Game 5 on Maxim Lapierre scoring a goal in a Stanley Cup Finals game? What are your thoughts from Game 5? Final thoughts on Game 5?
Well, I'll tell you that celly from Maxime Lapierre was 10 out of 10. When I saw that, I was like, that's the most like pure celebration from a fourth liner I've ever seen in my life. The the choppy, they're running on the ice and then doing the fist pump a bunch of times. It's like that's a guy who doesn't score a goal a lot and doesn't know what to do. But the celebration was 10 out of 10. And yeah, I don't know. I just like from the team, Kessler, like he completely mopped the floor in terms of Selke voting. I don't know if you saw it. I have the votes
What do you
here.
got for Selke votes?
So I never actually like knew how many votes per award. It's different for
Yeah,
each one.
it's all different because there's different like because media votes on one, and then there's like writers who vote, and then coaches and
So
whatever.
I'll move from 5 to Kessler.
Okay.
So Malholtra finished 5th with 229 votes.
Ooh.
Bergeron got started early at the age of 25 with
That
296.
I was gonna say that's when he finally started coming into his
Yeah,
own right then.
yeah, 296. Datsuk finished 3rd with 348. Jonathan Taves finished 2nd with 476. Kessler finished 1st. Take a guess. And I don't know if you looked it up already, but don't
I have
shoot.
no idea what the Selkie results like. Is he like near like 1,000?
1,179 votes.
Jesus.
He wiped the floor in Selkie votes.
Oh my god, that's so impressive.
Yeah, that was his 3rd time being nominated, and his first win, he almost like tripled 2nd place.
Yeah, no, he was he. We've talked about this again a bit earlier, but like this was like the peak for everybody on the Canuck, like peak
Yeah,
Sedins, peak Kessler,
he had
peak.
41 tucks that year.
Yeah, he had 80 points.
Yeah,
Peak Luongo, maybe. You can make the argument the Olympics were peak Luongo like the year
well, I
before.
mean, yeah, but we're not been in the same. Yeah, the year before. Yeah, I keep thinking the Olympics happened in 2011. But no,
No,
yeah, the year before Luongo played good in the Olympic run.
so
Yeah, it was
there's like and this is like the Bruins who are like still a little bit youngish, who are still coming into their own. But you got really hot goaltending from Tim Thomas. You
yeah.
got terrific plays from Lucic, as we talked about earlier. Patrice Bergeron making quite a few plays. Even their depth guys of Peverly, Daniel Paille,
Recce.
Recce, like those guys making huge. Chris
Yeah.
Kelly making huge contributions. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're calling it the last great Stanley Cup Finals, because there was, all the drama, the conflict, the entertainment from all these games.
Tim Thomas
Tim Thomas, Luong.
stirring the pot every single game.
It's just terrific, man. It's just great
Yeah.
hockey. You don't see that
Yeah.
a whole lot now.
Yeah. But
So,
bringing my point back to Kessler before I kind of went off the rails,
yes.
he was one of the most valuable players on the team because he was a guy he was like a bootleg Nathan McKinnon. He would dump the puck in and he would dig in the corners, and then he could score a clutch goal on the power play that same game. And he always left it out like 100% on every shift. Just seeing that game, he had so much energy all the time. And yeah, he just kept it sturdy. So I think Kessler, man, he was such a huge part of that Stanley Cup run, especially against Nashville. He tore it
Yeah.
up against Nashville.
It's really,
But
I was going to say, it's
yeah,
really too bad how his career ended, too. Like in
yeah,
Anaheim with just like the bad hip.
yeah. It's so weird. It's like you saw him in the All-Star game in like 20, was it like 2015? I think
Yeah, I was gonna say
2015.
2015 or 16.
Yeah, 2015, because Besser was the year after
Yeah,
um
that's right.
his draft year. So yeah, it's just like, because that was Horvat's year, and I just saw Kessler, and I looked at his stats that year, and he had like close to 70 points. I'm like, he was still kicking it good on Anaheim, and then now he's on LTIR hosting a Sportsnet program this week.
And you could tune into
But
that Sportsnet's
yeah,
program, Kess's House, because
yeah,
he's
is it just like a sports like skill competition with a bunch of random people? Is that what it is?
Post Malone's involved.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It
Post Mal-
seems like it seems cool, but I don't have a full grasp of
I don't know
what it
exactly
is.
what it is. I think it's Post Malone. I want to say Carolyn Cameron maybe involved. Maybe Bianca Andreescu is involved with.
I think I saw that.
Jeannie Bouchard is involved. Josh Norris, and I think Post Malone. I have no idea what actually Kess's House is or what the point of it is, but
I think it's like
is it a watch party?
no, it's not a watch party. It's almost like a skill challenge kind of thing. Because Kessler has a really nice house. I don't know if you saw, but he has like a putting green. He has like a water fountain in his backyard. There's a lot of things. It was like, can he even pay for that house? He hasn't played in like 2 years. And and I was looking at it, I was like, he has a full arcade. He has a shot, like an NHL, like a hockey simulator practice room or whatever to shoot pucks. He has a practice green. Basically, it looks like a driving range in his backyard. He has a water fountain. Yeah, it's a really nice property. And I'm like, did you ever make over $7 million a year? Like, how are you paying for this?
I pulled up his Cap Friendly. Do you know what Ryan Kessler's estimated career earnings were?
Okay, so I'm assuming he just signed a series of like 5-year deals. He never went over that. I'm gonna assume. I can't remember any of the contracts he signed.
He's currently on He's currently on LTIR with the Ducks right now.
Yeah, I know that. He's basically retired, but without the tag. I'm gonna say his estimated career earnings are $46 million.
No, way higher. It's 70.8.
Really?
That's according to Cap Friendly. That's his estimated career earnings.
Good for him.
So he's able.
He got drafted in 05, right?
03.
03.
That was actually one of the best parts during lockdown when we were doing content, and Scott and I did a 2003 NHL redraft, and I screwed him by putting Kessler on the Kings, just to piss him off since he's a Ducks fan. I put him on the Kings. He's like, "You're an asshole," and I'm just like, "I know." But Ryan Kessler, you can watch Kess's house. I don't know if they're doing more Kess's. I don't even know. I didn't even watch it. I just thought it was a weird thing, and it's like, cool. Ryan Kessler, a B-list celebrity.
Did it already happen?
Yeah.
It did?
Yeah. They might do another one.
When was it?
According to YouTube, 4 days ago.
Really? I thought it was happening
June 6th.
Oh, damn.
Join Ryan Kessler, Jeannie Bouchard, Josh Norris, and Colby Armstrong, who I've met, by the way, live for Game 3 of the Canadiens-Jets Stanley Cup playoff series.
Maybe it is a watch party. I thought it was like a skill challenge was happening because he was doing a bunch of funky stuff in his promotion.
I thought it was just weird that Post Malone got involved. I was not expecting Post Malone.
That's why I think it's like a skill challenge. It's like a bunch of different people doing random stuff.
I don't know.
But I was also like, why would Sportsnet do this? I thought maybe like YouTube would pick it up or something. But I don't know.
Anyways,
who knows?
Final thoughts before we head out here for episode 5 of the last great Stanley Cup Finals.
Thank you, Vancouver, for giving me an exciting Stanley Cup run. Unfortunate ending, but I mean, it's just like it's not like they had a down year the year after. They won the President's Trophy again the year after, and then got absolutely dominated by LA. But at least we lost to the Stanley Cup champs. That's a little thing you can. If you're gonna lose to anyone, it better be the Cup champs because everyone lost to them. So, no, but yeah, that was a very fun era of the Canucks. And it was just like, it's crazy because the only really stars that kind of stood out were like the Sedins, Luongo, and Kessler. And they weren't even like, besides this, like the Sedins were the only like stars on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else just like had a good year. We were like the Vegas Knights with like a couple better superstars on the team. Just a bunch of like Victor Oreskovich, Tanner Glass, Maxim Lapierre,
Jeff Tambellini.
Like, yeah, it was like these guys were athletic trainers at Gold's Gym like 4 days ago. And now they're in the Stanley Cup Final. It's like they were in Terry Fox Hockey Academy like 2 minutes ago, and now they're playing in a Cup Final. So it's kind of crazy.
They were playing adult safe hockey at Burnaby 8 rinks, and now they're all of a sudden playing in the final. So you love to see it.
Yeah. No, but it was a fun time, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later. But
well, one can always hope.
Yeah, I just hope that they do it correctly and don't try to get ahead of themselves, because I know they were close. Not like when they were 7 minutes away from Western Conference Final in the bubble, but I mean, like, I think that was just a string of good hockey we were playing. I don't think we actually deserved to be in that spot because we got absolutely dominated this year. We finished last in the division, so didn't really set us up well. But
don't worry, you'll trade for Eichel over the offseason, and that'll beat the team.
Yo, I heard we're shopping our 9th pick, and I'm just really nervous about what Jim Benning is planning on doing. But at least we got Ian Clark back, so that's all I care about.
Big day for Ian's. Big day for Ian's. You love to see it.
Yeah, quick thing. I got a question before we head out.
Yeah.
I thought of this at work, and I thought it was actually a pretty good question. And it's more of a frustration on my part, but I assume other people are frustrated as well. What are you more frustrated about? That Vegas is exempted from the expansion draft, or that Tampa is playing 17 mil over the cap? What makes you more frustrated?
I guess Vegas being exempt, but I don't really like. I've kind of got past to the point of being angry with the NHL because the NHL is just so inept in how they do things that I don't really care. And the Tampa thing is just them exposing a loophole.
Yeah.
Like, they legally are not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Vegas is not really legally doing anything wrong, but I mean, Vegas should probably have somebody taken away from them. But
What? Because I know people are like, would you be saying the same thing if they weren't an absolute wagon? And I'm like, honestly, probably not, but I'd still be confused about the rule. It's like, you're a new team, but you don't have to do the same thing as the other teams.
No, but
It's
here's
like-
the thing. But here's the thing: the NHL is so it's just filled with confusing rules that
Yeah,
this just adds to the confusing rules, and
yeah,
it
it's wild.
makes life a living hell for people who are trying to cover or even new fans who are like, I don't understand why Vegas is exempt or why Tampa Bay is 18 million over the cap.
Yeah.
It's like, neither do any of us. We're just going along with the punches.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild, but no, Game 5 was exciting. It was an overall exciting series, and it just still is very kind of sad to think about because it's a fun cup run to watch,
Mm-hmm.
but then you when you realize what the outcome is, it's just like it makes you want to turn it off.
When you realize your
But-
team is involved and you actually have stakes in this, then it's actually depressing.
But like I did at the beginning of quarantine, like I watched some of the Stanley Cup run, and I was
Mhm.
like, this team was like so exciting, but it's just like I know what happened, so it's like I just don't want to get too high on these
If you
games.
watch Game 7, like especially like the first 10, 15 minutes of Game 7 when the Canucks come out like just aggressive, they look much better. And then you're
Yeah.
like, how did the Canucks not win this series, especially Game 7?
Yeah,
And it's
one
just
bad goal, and then everything turned upside down.
it's like the Maple Leafs now, where it's just like
Yeah.
when they get to those clutch games, and it's like, we don't know how to score. We don't know how
Yeah.
to play in these clutch games.
Yeah.
Jevon, thank you very much for taking the time to do this, man. It's greatly appreciated.
No, thank you for having me.
This has been episode 5 of the last great Stanley Cup Finals. Be sure to watch our full video on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. By the way, new Speak Your Piece hoodies in now. What are yours today? You know where to DM us, reach out at us, holla at us. And if you have a problem with selections, just go blame Scotty. I'll DM you his address if you have an issue. Thank you very much for listening. Peace out.